Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's Jeff with Encore Brands, the cool pool deck coating. I got Caden here with me today, and we're going to do kind of a quick 5-minute FAQ of the top questions we get asked all the time from people calling in or perhaps through the website. These are the top questions that people have when they're trying to learn about our product and maybe find out if it's appropriate for their pool. So me and Caden are going to have a little discussion. Caden, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so we'll start with the basics. What is the Cool Pool Deck coating?
Cool is really a one-of-a-kind product when you really dive into it. But from a high level, Cool is a do-it-yourself, if you want it to be, a DIY-capable system that can go over many different types of pool deck surfaces. We launched it in 2012, I believe, and we've done over 20 million square feet with this product. What it is essentially is a water-based coating that can come in any color you want. It leaves a nice, consistent, non-slip finish, and we'll get into that a little more as far as how it will look depending on what you have now. But that's what Cool is a 1-2-3 punch Swiss Army knife of a kind of a decorative concrete coating.
So it's a 3-step process: clean it, coat it, seal it.
Yes, and you, of course, get temperature reduction, safety, and freedom of color choice. So
can I apply Cool over an already painted surface?
Great question. Yes, short answer is yes. Anytime someone has a previously painted surface, I always like to ask, what's the condition of the paint currently? If you walk out there and it's failing miserably, especially if it's rather new, like let's say it's within a couple years old and it's already failing miserably, bubbling, coming up in sheets, anything like that, you want to really take a hard look at the surface itself, because if it was installed correctly, if it was cleaned and it's still failing, a lot of times that could be indicative of a larger problem with the surface itself rejecting the product. So, which could happen with any coatings, to be fair. So it's always imperative that you check the integrity of your surface. So short answer is yes. Maybe the paint is 10 years old and it's chipping and fading in your high traffic areas, is just showing its age. Completely typical, and at that point, you come out there with our Triple Crown cleaner, which you spray on, you let it dry, and then eventually you're pressure washing that off with 3,500, 4,000 PSI. And whatever survives that, is stuck down really well, and you can feel comfortable going over it with the Cool.
So now, can you apply Cool over an existing Cool deck or like a knockdown topping?
Absolutely. So same concept applies. You want to check the integrity of it. These knockdown toppings are very common in certain geos of the country. There's millions of pools with these knockdowns or Cool decks or sun decks or whatever they may be. Great products when they're installed correctly. They can last 20 years. I've also seen them fail within a couple years. But considering that everything was done correctly, they last a long time. So there does come a point where you need to make it look good again. So in most cases, you can make a few patches, make a few crack repairs, and have a very logical solution with Cool. The big thing there is that if you were to go to Home Depot or anywhere and just pick a paint off the shelf, maybe it's a concrete patio paint, that is fine. I mean, they're easy to use, a lot cheaper than a lot of options, and it will make the deck look good again, but it will then get hot, it might get slippery, and at the end of the day, all you have is a exterior paint on your pool deck. So you don't really have a product that's engineered to be around the pool for chemical attack and heat reduction and safety and things like that. So Cool is the most logical solution for going over an existing knockdown because it keeps the temperature comfortable, you maintain the safety, and you don't lose the knockdown texture. So our product will take the shape of that existing knockdown.
Okay. So now, how is Cool applied?
Cool is applied with standard paint tools. You'll need a pump-up sprayer, a drill mixer for mixing it. You'll need 3/4-inch nap rollers for the Cool, and you'll need some 1/2-inch nap rollers for the clear sealer.
So then once you've applied Cool, what is the final texture going to be like? What is it like on my feet?
Yeah, it's super comfortable. I mean, like I said, it's a nice non-slip, very consistent texture. And I like to say sometimes, like, some paints that have a non-slip texture in it, when you're trying to push it around and you're applying it, getting that consistency is not so intuitive. It's almost like you're trying to spread out wet sand and hoping it falls the way you want it to. Where with ours, naturally, just with 2 coats and with that 3/4 inch nap roller, will give you this nice refined texture. Okay, now it's going to look like this if you apply it over bare concrete. If you put this over a knockdown or stamped concrete or something textured, it will take the form of those existing contours. But this is a new sheet of armor that will have that nice built-in texture. You do not have to add extra sand to our product or anything like that. That's a common question. But
So even when it gets wet, it's not going to get slippery.
great question. Yeah, no. As long as you don't apply our clear sealer too thick. So again, this is 2 coats of Cool, 2 very thin coats of our clear sealer, which is the 3rd and final step. But it's important not to slather on that clear sealer too thick, because then it will embed the non-slip granules in this and potentially be slippery. But no, we do have ADA testing, ASTM, coefficient of friction is what they call it, testing for non-slip. So this exceeds the ADA requirements for safety coatings.
So what colors does Cool come in?
Cool can come in any color you want besides clear. And the way that's accomplished is you actually add a gallon of paint to each bucket of Cool. So if you have 4 buckets of Cool on site, which would cover about 700 square feet or so, you would need 4 individual gallons of paint that you choose at your local paint store. So you can choose any color you want off the wall. What I suggest is taking a few sample chips back to your home. That way you're not looking at them under fluorescent lights. Take it back to the pool deck, put it up against your furniture, the siding of your house, the surrounding environment, and make a complementary decision of what you want. If heat reduction is a priority, don't choose a charcoal gray or something super dark. You want to stay in the mid to lighter colors, but any color you want. The type of paint absolutely does matter. So I want people to know that. We have a recommended paints list that, of course, we've tested, the ones that are compatible with Cool. That list comes in every single bucket, but people always ask, what do you recommend? So my favorite is the A100 from Sherwin-Williams. A is in Alpha 100. Satin finish is fine. The sheen does not matter, but A100, then it's got to be the PPG Speed Hide or the Bare Ultra exterior from Home Depot.
So even if I get a nicer, more expensive paint, it's not necessarily going to work better?
Correct. So a lot of people ask that too. There's no reason to go buy something ultra expensive hoping that it improves the performance of Cool. A lot of times it will be detrimental to the behavior of the Cool when you're rolling it out, or it could just lock up the product into cookie dough before you can even roll it out. So you want to stick with our recommended paints for sure. The paint is not there for performance. It's more there for tint and activation. So great question.
So now when I have my paint and I mix it into the components in that coating kit, is it going to be pretty true to the color I picked, or is it going to dilute it all?
It's going to be pretty true. I would say that the match is 95%, if you want to combat that, on really dark colors or super, super light colors, that's where you could see a lightening effect. But most of the time I ask people, hey, don't think about that too much. Roll out your first coat, choose the color you want, bring the paint back to the home. Start rolling your first coat out. If it's looking too light, take that paint that you have left over, take it back to the store, darken it up a little bit, and then roll that as your second coat, right?
Okay, so if I don't like the color on my first coat, I can switch that for my second coat.
You can. So it's also important not to mix every single bucket at once. Mix buckets as you need. So just in case your first coat is looking a little light, you can leave that first coat the way it is, take the paint that you have left back to Sherwin-Williams or back to Home Depot, wherever you bought the paint, and just darken it up a little bit. But really, I ask people, don't read too far into that. Most of the time, the color match is spot on. So,
got it. Okay, so now I have my Cool, I have my paint, and I'm ready to go. Is there a window of temperature that I need to be applying it in? Does that matter?
Yeah, it definitely matters. The Cool dries very quickly. So in the summertime, if you're in the southern half of the United States, there's no way around it. You got to get out there early in the morning, and a lot of times it's one coat per morning, because you get done with that first coat. When you get back to where you started with the first coat, if it's not too hot outside, you can rock and roll with your second coat. But a lot of times you just want to shut it down and wait till the next morning. So the temperature, I would say you want to be above 50. And once it gets up into the low 80s, 82, 83, you will notice. And that's when you want to stop, because you want to give that coating time to sit on the surface in its wet form and develop the bond. Sink into the surface, really do what it needs to do. If it's too hot, the water in our product will flash off too quickly, and it doesn't get a chance to really dig in and do what it needs to do. And you can also get irregularities in the texture. If it's too hot, you're rolling over it. A lot of times you'll see the coating rolling back off onto the roller again. So there's the issue, is lack of adhesion.
So what I'm hearing is you don't need to get it all done in one day. You can break this up into multiple days if needed.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, so now how about for cracks? If you have any cracks in your surface, will Cool fill those in?
Cool will address the very minor hairline cracks. A rule of thumb, if you can fit a dime in it, I'd say go ahead and fill it with something. There's a lot of great crack fillers out there. We've been recommending one called Concentrate on Amazon. It's a polymeric sand that's great for joints and cracks. So in sand form, it's easy to manipulate. So once you clean the deck, everything's dry again, go address those cracks, make the patches that you need. But for any other crack filler, you want to make sure that it's compatible with water-based top coats, such as Cool. You want to make sure it's paintable. There's a lot of specialty crack fillers out there that are a lot stronger than polymeric sand, or are a lot stronger than Sikaflex, or some kind of rubberized caulking. But you want to make sure they are compatible with water-based top coats.
Okay, so that's for cracks. What about patches? If I have a chunk of my surface that's come up and there's a little bit of a level difference that I need to fill, will Cool fill that level difference in?
No. A lot of times it will not. Most of the time it will not. So Cool should not be thought of as a leveling compound. Depending on what you have around the pool, like if you have a knockdown, old school kind of Cool deck stuff, very common to have a few areas the size of a dinner plate, that have chipped up and you're looking at bare concrete there. What I would do is kind of knock on it, listen for the hollow sounds, and remove the loose stuff until it's tightly bonded. And now you have that footprint where you need to make a patch, and you need to accommodate for that. A lot of those knockdowns are a 1/4 inch. I've seen them like 1/2 inch thick before. So no, Cool is not just going to magically, recreate that knockdown texture and fill in that blank space. So what I'd recommend is for that situation, you need to recreate the knockdown texture in that area. And you can do that with sanded grout. I've seen any kind of polymer modified cement patch. That's the genre of product you need to use for any given patch, is a polymer modified mortar or a polymer modified cement. So basically, the polymers in that cement allows it to be applied thin and still develop strength. So you would never use ordinary concrete for a little patch like this. You need a patching compound. And Cool is going to bond like crazy to most of these patches out there. So don't worry about that. As long as it's, like I said, sanded grout, Poly Blend makes a great one. It's available at Lowe's and Home Depot, pretty sure. Poly Blend sanded grout. Just make sure you mix it correctly. And 24 hours later, they are rock hard and ready to be coated.
So what I'm hearing is Cool is not going to fully smooth out my surface and make it completely smooth. It's going to somewhat reflect what I have already?
Correct.
Got it. So now how about expansion joints?
Very common question. Yeah, some people have the PVC white strips, right, the covers in their expansion joints. They ask, do I tape them off? Can I paint them? That is totally up to you. Many people don't want to see them anymore. Our product, we found recently, bonds like crazy to PVC, which is pretty crazy on its own. But you can paint over them, pressure wash them during your cleaning phase. Just clean them off first. That's coatings 101. You got to clean the surface. But the only other thing you could do is lightly sand them but I've seen the skimmer covers done. Those are white plastic PVC. I've seen those done. Product bonds like crazy to them.
So now there's 3 parts: clean it, coat it, seal it. What are the dry times for each of those steps?
First step is the triple crown cleaner. You want to use triple crown whether you have bare concrete or a previously painted surface, knockdown, whatever. The triple crown is going to degrease it, clean out the pores, but it's also going to chemically abrade that surface and etch it. So you got to be careful with triple crown. It will damage pretty much anything besides plastic and wood. So you got to watch out for tile, glass, aluminum, brick, natural stone, all that stuff. So be very careful. Don't be out there in like bare feet doing that. Wear some rubber boots. That's the harshest part of the system is the triple crown. It's a cousin of muriatic acid, but you spray that onto the whole deck, let it dry. It might take an hour to dry. Then you pressure wash that away. And then typically the next morning is when you want to get out there with the cool. You start mixing those one at a time, adding your paint along with the part A, part B found in the bucket. You want to drill that up with a mixing attachment for about 3 or 4 minutes. You'll end up with 3.5 gallons in the bucket. And then take that 3/4 inch nap roller and start going to town. So like I said, you want to make your way around with your first coat. You can recoat with your second coat as soon as like an hour goes by.
Okay, so it dries pretty quick.
It does. Yeah, I mean, it'll be dry to the touch in 20 minutes. But you want to give it an hour before you go with the second coat. It's going to take you at least an hour to get around the pool, with that first coat. So like I said, if it's not too hot outside, you can just keep going with your second coat. And you can leave it like that and come back the next day and put the clear sealer down. Or you can give that second coat a cool an hour to dry and then begin the sealer.
How quick does the sealer dry in between? And that's 2 coats, right, on the clear sealer?
The clear sealer's 2 thin coats. Same thing, dries fairly quickly. You want an hour in between coats. You want to watch out for rain with the clear sealer. If it gets rained on too soon, it will turn white. It does what we call blushing, where it will turn white, and a lot of times it will not go back clear. So turn your sprinkler systems off. Watch out for the pool whippy cleaner tail thing, spraying water everywhere. Try to have 24 hours before it gets wet. And before you use the pool, of course.
Do you have to follow the same temperature window with the sealer as you do with the cool?
No, not necessarily. The sealer, in fact, prefers direct sunlight, warmer temperatures. 95 degrees is too hot for the sealer. But, don't be out there if you're in Arizona. If it's 100 degrees, that's a little too hot. But it does not mind cooking in the mid-80s,
Got it. So you mentioned a little bit about rain. You said the sealer really needs to see a good amount of time without rain. How about the coating? When can that get rained on?
The cool coating is a lot more resilient to early rainfall, but it has to have time to cure and develop the bond. So, I was on a job once where we were rolling out the second coat of cool and a light drizzle came on us. I mean, it was really light, but everything turned out fine. Whereas if that had been the clear sealer, you would have had blushing going on and been turning white. So, but the cool needs probably, I'd say 8 hours before rain comes. I mean, but if it's a torrential downpour, you could see some washing away. And at that point, you come back out, give it the old fingernail test, and make sure you have adhesion. If you do, you might need to throw another coat on there. But
so you keep saying you want to mix just a couple buckets at a time. After you've mixed the paint in, how long do you have to use that product?
You want to use it within 24 hours.
Okay, and then unmixed, I'm assuming it'll last much longer?
Yes, just don't let it freeze.
Got it. So then what's the lifespan of Cool like once you've applied it?
I say Cool is an 8 to 10 year product. You want to reseal it with the seal back clear sealer every couple of years. If you're in Arizona where the UV index is outrageous, you might consider resealing it every year, just one coat, just to keep it fresh. I mean, the sealer is like a sacrificial layer to block UV, to keep the cool underneath protected and prevent it from fading and things like that. But I'd say it's an 8 to 10 year product with a couple reseals in between, right? And perhaps at year 5 or year 6, when it's time to reseal, instead of resealing, you can clean it with like TSP, which is trisodium phosphate. You can find that anywhere. It's a very common cleaner, degreaser. Clean it off. And some people put a new coat of Cool on there, perhaps in a different color. That's a great opportunity to change your color if you want. Just one coat of Cool at that point, and then, of course, reseal it. But no, we were just in Raleigh, North Carolina at a job that's 8 years old, and there's not one issue with that job. So I think it's got 8 more years to go.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what is one bucket of the coating cover? How many square feet?
It will complete anywhere from 150 to 200 square feet. Again, it's 2 coats, and that includes 2 coats. Depending on the surface, a lot of surfaces soak it up, you know. If you had a flawless concrete floor like a Home Depot floor, it'll get 200 square feet every time. But in real life, real world scenario, I like to estimate about 175. So if you have 1,000 square feet, I would get 6 buckets of Cool to complete that.
Are the cleaner and sealer the same as far as coverage?
Cleaner and sealer, they're going to hit more towards 200 every time.
Okay.
So a gallon of Triple Crown will complete 200, and then a half gallon of sealer, those both will complete about 200 square feet.
The sealer with 2 coats?
Yes.
Got it. So now, when I'm using the Triple Crown, I'm going around and spraying it on. What happens if any gets on my pool or in my pool?
You don't want to spill a lot in the pool. You know, again, it's a cousin of muriatic acid, which some people will add to the pool water to lower the pH anyway. But again, it will damage tile. So, I mean, if you're talking about the runoff going down, if you have tile below your coping, it's going to etch the tile. So, of course, try to keep it out of the pool. Try to rinse it away from the pool water when you're pressure washing it away, like towards a drain, things like that.
Okay, so now let's say I've applied Cool, put the sealer on, everything is good to go. How long till I can use that pool again?
Probably a hard 24 hours. And if you have a little longer to spare, let's say 36 to 48 hours before you put that heavy furniture back on there, by all means, please do that. Another important thing is you don't want any rubber on the bottom of your furniture. So you want to put those protectors on the bottom of your grill or your furniture. Use felt or nylon, okay? Do not use rubber. Also, no rubber mats or rugs, because rubber mats and rubber rugs, even if it's not rubber, if it's just a non-breathable membrane, it's going to sit on that coating and it's going to trap moisture under there. It's essentially turning our product into a submerged application, which it's not designed for. So if you have to have a rug, I would go with like a bamboo rug, something that's really breathable.
So then, once I have that coating on, everything's good to go. What do I do to clean it? Can I pressure wash it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can lightly pressure wash it. Use like a bleach-based cleaner with a squirt of Dawn dish soap in there, and absolutely you can pressure wash it.
Can I use it on my driveway?
No. Cool is not rated for vehicular traffic.
Okay, so I can use it on a sidewalk, but just not a driveway.
Sidewalk, ramps, stairwells, breezeways, patios, just not driveways or garages.
Got it. So how does Cool perform in colder temps, like up north, like New York?
Great question. It can perform excellent as long as the concrete is stable. So in those areas, a lot of times concrete is poured when it's really cold outside. Without getting into the science behind bad concrete or a bad concrete cure, a lot of times a pour can go south where you have compromised concrete that's not as strong as it could be, and therefore it's really susceptible to freeze-thaw cycles. So as long as you have a stable surface that Cool can bond to, that is going to save you. But in these northern climates where you have a lot of snow and ice accumulation and freeze-thaw cycles, I would highly recommend you densify the concrete first. If that is you and you're hearing this and you want to learn more about that, please call us, because we do sell these densifier treatments that will essentially bulletproof the slab and skyrocket the performance of our coating.
How do I know if I need one of these densifiers? Are there any tests I can do? Or?
Sure. I mean, not just the people in the Northeast. I mean, if you have bare concrete right now and it's within, 2-3 years old, I automatically always tell people, look, go out there, rub your hand across it, and if you have white chalky powder on the palm of your hand, you have an issue. You have a concrete issue that you can clean it, it doesn't matter. You're just cleaning bad concrete. That problem will persist even after you clean it, and it will reject coatings eventually. So that's a huge red flag. The white chalky powder. If you had a concrete pour and you heard your contractor saying it was drying too quickly, that's a red flag. If it's already cracking, if it's discolored, anything like that, contact us, send us pictures, and we'll help you diagnose that situation.
So if I have a saltwater pool, is that going to affect cool at all?
Nope, good to go.
Amazing. Well, my last question is, so I've done all the research, I've looked at all the videos on the website. I think I want to use cool. Is there anything I need to look for before purchasing this coating? Anything I need to make sure that I have correct, or anything I need to look for in my concrete to make sure this works well?
Great question. I love how you started it. You need to watch all of our videos. Those are going to be your best friend. But yeah, if you have bare concrete, or if you had a previous paint that bubbled, okay, you want to go out there and put a rubber mat down, or just tape a sheet of plastic down with some duct tape, okay, and leave that for 24 hours, either the mat or the plastic. After 24 hours, go out there, lift it up, and if you have condensation that's accumulated under that membrane, you have a moisture problem. So essentially what that means is there's a moisture source underneath the concrete that is escaping as water vapor transmission up through the slab. Okay, and that can happen if you have a leak in the pool, if you have poor draining soil. If you're in Florida, you are automatically on the water table, more than likely. Essentially, you have a moisture source that is escaping through the concrete, and that can provoke any coating to bubble if the PSI is strong enough. So if you do that test and you're trapping moisture under that membrane, we have a solution for you. Just call us. It's another densifier product that you can roll on basically as a primer. Okay, but yeah, if that's your last question, I would just encourage people to call us. If you need, please watch our videos, because our phones get really, really busy in the busy season. And we want you to be taken care of and educated as possible. If you follow these protocols and watch the videos and educate yourself or your contractor, you're going to be a happy camper, and we want you to be a happy camper. So we're always here to help you. 888-776-2242 is our office number, and encorecoatings.com is the website. Caden, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure. And hope you all have a great day. Thank you.